Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is Local Chat, episode 150. It's Thursday, Thirsty Thursday for you little girls out there. And joining me this week is Jake Terrio.
It's me.
And also joining me this week is the lovely Ian Gibson.
Hello, it's me.
We're here to talk, we're here to play, and we're here to make each other splay.
Kyle's not here. That was this green tag. Are the tags still there?
Oh boy.
I think about those every... No, we're just English and funny.
Let's not presume. Okay, let's... We try.
Yeah, we try. Folks, we're here to talk about things. Ian simply said, skip the chit-chat this week. So I'm going to skip the chit-chat, and we're not even going to have a chit-chat section. Moving right along, let's talk about the games we played this week. I'll go first, because I have plenty on my list. I will start with a game that I physically had to pull myself away from, because I said, now's not the time. This game didn't come out in 2023. And that is the game called High Fleet. High Fleet is an FTL-like. I don't know what kind of games those are. Are those roguelikes? Yeah.
You know what? You're the fucking expert around here.
No, but I mean in the sense of like I'm used to like rogue type roguelikes, but I guess FTL is like the branching path ones where you zoom out to missions.
Like a tactical management simulator?
Run based. There we go. That's more, I can see that. So anyways, you are this nation, you went to go fight in your airships. They're all like cool airships. And you went to go fight in another country, and then your main capital of your city gets nuked by the enemy.
Classic.
And so you're stuck in the country, and you just have to like do a mad dash to the enemy capital to try to capture it.
Nice.
It has all this great world building that I won't even try to do right now, but it's like World War I-ish. Not steampunk, but like, again, there's giant flying machinery, and like your entire UI is the control panel at the ship. You have to decode messages, enemy radars, to find out where they're moving to and from. You can send, when you're flying to a city, you have to send your your fastest ships forward to try to take out the enemy alarm and alerts before they can send it out to the other people. You're decoding things. There's a couple other stuff. When you reach like a facility and you want a repair bonus, you have to land your ships like lunar lander style, which is really great. And you sometimes underestimate how long it takes for a ship to stop. It is absolutely gorgeous. Is the combat screen, the landing screen, and like your main overview screen is beautiful. It's all this like blown out CRT fuzzy connection. Everything's like breaking down views. You can strap a bunch of armor to your ship and just fly it through other ships to try to blow them up. It is really fun. Cool. It's really great. It's addicting, and I have to take a break from it because if I play it too much, I will not be able to do anything else this week or the rest of this year. I mean, so I've put it down. But High Fleet, highly recommend. Super super fun, and it just like the vibes. It's very good, very 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 good vibes. Moving on here, folks, I played purportedly the best XCOM game ever made, and that would be Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I have played it, and I have unfortunately, I have to say that it's terrible and I hate it. It's not great. I don't like it at all, and it hurts me. And it's not very fun.
What do you not like about it? Because I'm curious if it's the correct criticisms.
So I will say the gameplay is not bad. I don't mind it. It's just not anything. It's not what I want from like an XCOM type, and it's not. It's more of a puzzle game than it is like a XCOM Fire Emblem game.
Okay. First of all, if I may, shut the fuck up, because this was something that happened a lot. Especially Patrick Klepek kept being like, "It's not a tactics game; it's a puzzle game." And it's like, okay, first of all, fuck you. Because every tactics game is a puzzle game by that shitty definition. Because you go, oh, I am making certain moves, and there are strategies that work and strategies that don't work. Therefore, there are solutions and there are non-solutions. That makes it a puzzle game. And just because the start of this game is kind of a lengthy tutorial section where like the first couple missions are like, there's very clear ways to beat this. I do think it's a bit of a flaw that they don't really get to kind of the more open-ended missions until they get to the end. But that doesn't mean it's a puzzle game. And this is not directed at you, but like every fucking strategy game can be considered a puzzle game by that bullshit metric. Like it's just the problem is not that it's a puzzle game, it's that the early missions are forcing you to specific tactics to teach you about the game, and that goes on a bit too long. That's all.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just like I didn't mean that like as a detriment to it being not an XCOM game, but it's like XCOM or Fire Emblem and stuff is very focused on like your characters and keeping them alive and permadeath and stuff like that, which I think adds an element to that sort of strategy. Like, don't get me wrong, Fire Emblem and XCOM are definitely puzzle games. I would include all of those as puzzle games because in the end of the day,
no, you misunderstood. They're not puzzle games.
I'm saying
they're not puzzle games.
If you extrapolate it out, they're puzzle games.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Because when I spend 50 hours on one mission, it's turned into a puzzle game because I'm trying to find a solution.
And you're like step by step, what's the perfect way to do? Yeah.
When you play games like Jason, they're puzzle games. But the other thing I don't know, and this might be a me thing. The whole game felt like someone released their Mario like XCOM game on the internet and was like, "Hey, quickly download this before Nintendo does a cease and desist." Like it felt a little shoved into Mario, and then also just like the whole trappings around the story and the cutscenes and stuff were just, this is very nitpicky, but the font of the text and the way they presented characters talking was terrible and awful.
Yeah, it's those are the parts where you're like, this is clearly an Ubisoft game and not a Nintendo game. And I would say that's 50% style and 50% Ubisoft games are not as well put together or as beautiful as a Nintendo game. Yeah, so that's valid. But you got to appreciate the fucking actual like tactics gameplay and the amount of changes that they have made instead of just doing a generic, squares tactics, a square based tactic game. You got to admit they took some swings there and a lot of them pay off. Like the whole thing with the movement where instead of it being like you can only move 5 squares or whatever, it's just like, no, you can do whatever you want in this range until you run out of actions. So you're running over here, you're doing that, you're running over there, you're doing that, you're bouncing around people. Like that movement plus combo system is fantastic.
Yeah. Like to take a moment to plug Ian's Mario Rabbids XCOM video from whenever it was that the first one came out.
A while ago, yeah, like 3 years ago.
Subpixel Spotlight.
Yeah, it's a great video on a bad game, but it's okay. You're allowed to do that. Jake does that all the time.
It's every video I make.
I'll probably finish it. I'm like halfway through. Might as well. Yeah.
Man, see, now I don't believe you that you don't like the game, because if you really didn't like the game, then you wouldn't be playing it. Do you know what I mean? Because well, I mean, I'm not saying this from my personality, where that's definitely what I would do, but the things you mentioned, there's enough of that in there that it should be immediately off-putting. So I think you're lying to yourself a little bit, and you're actually liking the game a bit more than you're admitting.
It's just the game I play while Star Trek's on, so I don't feel like switching games and learning a new game. Fair. So that's probably why I'll finish it. And that is totally offense to the game. But I just skip everything. But anyways, I'm glad I finally tried it and to know that I was right. Moving on here, Armored Core 6 I finished this week. fantastic video game, opposite of
See,
Mario.
but see, if you're
Rabbids.
finishing that game, then it means you don't actually like the game and you just play it while Star Trek's on, right? That's the metric we just set.
This game is so good. Tank treads for life.
Yeah, man.
Tank treads, double miniguns, double songbirds. That's right, folks. The final boss, I cheesed him. I cheesed him hard. That boss doesn't like the edge of the arena and won't come near you. Wow, that was easy. But I still think Balteus is the hardest boss in that game, probably because I was at my weakest ability to play the game, so I couldn't.
It's certainly the steepest learning curve, given the resources that you have at that moment.
If I think I could fight Balteus right now, which I should maybe just get back to him, I think I could beat him in 2 tries. Because I'm at that point.
I almost want that to happen because I want the joke to be that you still really struggled to beat him, even after you've beaten the whole game.
I mean, that'd be wild, because that means the other bosses in that game are super easy, because I beat most of the bosses in under 6 tries, probably.
I think I definitely had...
Sorry, I was going to say, did we ever find an answer to the question that we raised during Extra Life, which is, how do you pronounce Balteus?
It's the voice actors say it in the game, and it's Balteus.
Okay, that's a fucking stupid pronunciation, but I yield.
You're right. This game does suck. The fire boss, the Carla's, it wasn't Carla, but the
cleaner.
The cleaner, gave me some trouble. The sea
Carla.
spider, a tiny bit of trouble. The problem with the sea spider is every time you have to go and scan that stupid boxcar to make the boss appear, and I was just and I got to the point where on 3 or 4 bosses, I got to the point where if I didn't get my hits in the beginning, it was just reset at checkpoint. If I'm not getting their shields down in the first 5 seconds, reset. We gotta go back. And that truly, it's like a puzzle game where you keep trying, and oh my god, it is no, it was really fun, and I thought the end of the story was great, and the ending just bleeds into the New Game Plus beginning, and it's really weird, because I was like, oh, I can't believe that happened, and then it was just wait, what? So I think I might New Game Plus it. I'm not sure.
Do it.
I might do it.
Which was the best boss encounter?
The best boss encounter?
Yeah.
I mean, the worm.
The ice worm.
So good. Honestly, if I could get a save game there and just let Ian play that. I mean, Ian, you wouldn't agree that the game's the best game ever, but that mission boss fight is just stellar. It is the perfect boss fight.
Replay mission, and you can pull it up right now.
I should. It's it's not even hard either. It's not. It's just a regular mission. It's just so good.
It's like the who was the big snake in Volcano Manor in Elden Ring, where they give you a gimmick weapon for one encounter?
Oh, Lord Gwyn.
Yeah, it's like that, because you have to have that specific shoulder-mounted needle launcher to take down its shield. But so good. And it's so very obviously emulating that episode of Evangelion where they have to use the Gauss cannon that powers down the whole country just to charge up. It's so good.
It's what, episode 1, episode 2?
Yeah.
The good ones. Although that time where he has to throw the spear of lesbians, he just throws it and it murders the thing. I love that episode. I should, the end of that was a lot like the end of Evangelion, which I still haven't seen, but I've seen screenshots of it, and I think
the
Jesus
true ending is much more like end of Evangelion than I think.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I could just roll credits on YouTube, just watch it there.
Yeah, you probably should. Nothing against the game. I just fucking hate the idea of, there's multiple endings and you have to replay the whole fucking game to get there.
No, but it's so...
that's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit.
Give
new content. actual new content, not just 90% the same to see 10% new content. That's fucking bullshit.
So I'll say
in any game.
New game plus the third time you play through it, the 5th chapter is entirely different.
Okay, so third time you play the game, it's 20% different. That's bullshit.
It's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Also,
narrative
you don't have to do
payoff. Yeah, that's true. You don't.
Yeah,
have to.
No. Look, I have not beaten the game, but I know from what Jake's talking about that to get like the true experience of this game, the full experience, you do need to see that extra content and extra endings. So it's not New Game Plus at that point and New Game Plus Plus. It's just replaying the game 2 fucking times to finish the whole game. That's what pisses me off about it.
Yeah, but it's so fun. And once you have like your whole arsenal unlocked and you have all the extra stuff on your mech, it is just so fun to play back through those missions now that you're, more like OP. And you really do get the power fantasy and the other characters then reacting to you being like, wait, is that Raven? And you're like, yeah, it is. And then you destroy them.
You wheelie.
It's so good. It's so good, Ian.
It is good.
I'm sure it's good.
I turned around on it.
I just hate the core fucking concept of hiding shit behind New Game Plus. I hate that.
My luck has changed since beating that Rise of Kong worm boss, and I think since then I beat the crab too.
Worm boss was easy.
That worm boss was difficult, so go fuck yourself.
No, I thought it was the crab that you were struggling with.
No, the worm I was struggling with because I walked into the boss encounter by accident, and I had no skill points. I was raw Kong. New name for the episode, Raw Kong. Finally here, I'll talk about it. Alan Wake 2 I picked back up since playing yesterday. Folks, I'm 5 hours in. It has done things with game making that are absolutely spectacular.
I'm very ready.
It has taken the Control weird shit on the screen and they somehow cranked it into the next reality. And what it does with that is so neat. And I hope I don't overhype it, but I get giddy feelings every time I find another one of them and I get to experience another one. They're just so good, and you never know what they're going to be. And it's great. It's really great. I won't say anything more about it, but I'm playing Alan Wake 2 again. Everything looks good on the Xbox. There's no more of that weird glitching that was happening, so I'm excited. It's really fun. And
cool. Great story.
That's what I've been playing. I'll save my last one for when we get to old Jake in the factory. There. No, I wasn't calling on you. Don't worry. You don't have to answer the question. You can sit back down. Thank you. Ian, I was curious because you were playing a game this week that I saw you were playing, and I said to myself, wow, Ian does hate me. And so I just want to know what you were playing this week.
No, genuinely, I am. I'm glad I did play this without you. So Thanksgiving holiday, I had 4 days off, and I was like, wow, this is a great time to catch up. Maybe I'll play Spider-Man 2 now that I own it. Maybe I'll pick up, Alan Wake 2 or catch up on my goatees. And then before I knew it, I was installing Satisfactory and playing that instead. So this is I'm in the mood for a building game. I really should have picked Factorio, but I'm not quite ready for another Factorio run. I really want to play Dyson Sphere Program again, but I just beat that like 8 months ago, so it's a little too early. And SteamWorld Build comes out tomorrow. So I was like, okay, I got to scratch this itch now. So I booted up Satisfactory. I haven't played it in a couple years. I think I played it around like update 2, and they're at update 8 now. So they have added a whole bunch of stuff since then, quality of life improvements, new tech tiers and stuff. And I was like, last time I played it, I did enjoy it, but I had some problems with it. And I booted the game up again. I think I put in about, I don't know, maybe 20 hours over like 3 days, like just couldn't stop playing the game. And folks, I'm here to tell you that game is still not that good. Like it's got problems. Like we've talked about it before, right? Will, some of the problems that it has, I feel like we kind of have the same complaints with the game.
Yeah, it gets to a point where you're just like, I really wish I was looking at this game from the top down and not in a 3D physical space.
Yeah, I will say maybe 10, 12 hours in, I unlocked like the exoskeleton, which makes you jump like twice as high and run twice as fast. And that made it a lot more manageable. And I also got jump pads and hyper tubes, which is basically like I had a coal ore that was like 2,500 meters away from my main base. And I was able to set up a series of jump pads. So instead of having to like climb for like 15 minutes to get there, it would take me like 3 minutes. And then I set up a series of pneumatic tubes eventually. So it took me like 60 seconds to get there. So there is some stuff that helps with the movement, but it's still like the way they have it set up, it's just not enjoyable to do this factory game in 3D as an FPS. The other thing is the pacing in this game, as in like what you need to do to unlock tech to then get to the next tier and unlock it and go forward, is so fucked. Like it's just bad. So I'll give you an example. I got 2 examples. One is power generation. So you need to generate power in order to power your miners and your machines, etc. The early power is a bioreactor. It's not really a bioreactor. It's like a bio burner. I think they have it. So basically you can feed it wood or leaves, and then eventually you get to a point where you can like compress the wood and leaves into like these like biofuel pellets that are like will last much longer, etc. But that fucking tech tier requires you to go, like literally because of how the machines are early tech, you have to go around and hand gather the wood and leaves periodically, put them into some sort of system that will spit out the pellets, and then carry the pellets to the burners, right? And because there's such a huge fucking gap before you get to coal power, which you can at least semi-automate, you can pretty much automate coal power, so once it's set up, you don't have to touch it, as opposed to having to manually feed this fuel into the furnace all the time. I was beelining it to coal. It still took me about 12 hours of gameplay to get to coal. And by the time I got to coal, I had like 12 bio burners set up. So 12 bio burners that I had to constantly get leaves, get wood for, and feed it. And it's just like, why the fuck are you pacing coal so far down the tech tree that I'm having to spend 12 hours of this game running around doing repetitive collect leaves, collect wood, etc. every time the power goes out or the power gets low? And it's just so fucking annoying. One more sign of that, like the ways in which they just disrespect the player and their time. So I had kind of a central mall set up where basically I have like little factory areas, like, you know, they're making iron plates, they're making screws, they're making cable, they're making wire, and they all get fed into a central mall, and they get fed into like a river of conveyor belts, and they also get dumped out into storage containers, right? So I can walk up to a storage container and say, like, give me 500 screws because I need to go use it for something, right? Pretty handy. Here's the fucking problem though, folks. Guess what? I have 20 hours in that game, and I just recently unlocked the technology for signs, for the ability to create a sign and put it on something. Like, it's buried so far fucking down the tech tree. The thing that in Minecraft is 1 stick and 6 wood planks to give you a sign so you can at least label your shit. Instead, I'm having to run around this fucking mall and like memorize of my 20 storage crates which ones are which. And I'm like trying to beeline to signs, and it's like, well, to get to signs, you need to get to quartz, and to get to quartz, you got to go to caves. To get to caves, you got to blow through the rocks. To blow through the rocks, you got to get dynamite. To get dynamite, you got to unlock sulfur. To get sulfur, you got to go find it, and you got to mine. They put the most basic shit so far down the tree that it was making it infuriating to play this game, because I'm like having to memorize my fucking storage containers for 20 hours because they won't let me put a fucking sign on it. Like, it's the ways in which they have set up this game and how you progress through the tech trees, and I got through about half the tech trees, it's fucking infuriating. I mean, Will, it sounds like you had kind of the same experience with it.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't get as far, but I got up to coal and was doing some stuff with that. And then I was at the point where I was just like, oh, this factory doesn't work right here. I have to build it somewhere else. I do not feel like doing that. And then just like, the problem is, like, I think Factorio is great if you're by yourself or with other people, more by yourself. And then Satisfactory, I think, is way better with more people But I don't necessarily think like 2 people would be great. Like, I mean, it would work, but I think if you had like 4 or 5 people and there was a server, I think that game would play a lot better, because you can be like, hey, I need this right now. Can you run and go get it while someone else works on this? Like that kind of stuff.
There's also like some weird resource constraints where everything is basically based around these nodes of resources. And so it kind of becomes a problem where you're like, oh, there's 5 iron nodes right around me. I have each of them optimized and they're making 5 different ingredients. But now all of a sudden I need a 6th ingredient and the next iron node is 2,000 meters away. So now I have to spend several hours like running conveyor belts out there and power out there and get it set up and then run back. And I'll also set up a transportation system so I don't have to spend 20 minutes going there all the time. And it's just like, it's just not a well-paced out game. Honestly, I'm not even sure multiplayer would solve it. It just feels like the Armored Core of factory games. And the reason why I say that is they were like, hey, what if we just made this game pretty difficult? Like, what if we just like constrained your resources? What if we just added all these fucking time sinks everywhere? What if we put the easy tech further down so you have to fucking manually babysit it all the time? Anymore. And it's like, it's a very bad analogy, but it just feels like, I know the people who made Satisfactory love factory games, factory and automation games, but it feels like the most generous way I can put it is it feels like they are tryhards at those games, and therefore they built a tryhard version of that game, where it's like, oh no, you have to perfectly optimize in order to get here. You have to suffer for 20 hours before you get this next tech. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want it to be easy, but don't make it like very frustrating the entire time I'm doing this. Give me some satisfaction. Anyways, no satisfaction with Satisfactory. I will tell you what I am satisfied with, folks. Do you guys know about Singles Day 11/11? You guys don't know about this? It's basically the Chinese version. It's basically the Chinese version of Black Friday. And so AliExpress and a whole bunch of other AliExpress and a whole bunch of other
racist, and it wasn't.
It's not.
I was bracing for it.
So AliExpress and all these other internet sites, they have great deals. And folks, I happen to pick up this little puppy, an R36S, which is basically, it's like a Game Boy sized device, but it has analog sticks underneath it and it has dual triggers on the back. It has this like gorgeous 3.5-inch IPS screen on it. This sucker can play PS1 games and below. And I bought it and I loaded it up. I've got like 15,000 games on it.
Sorry. It can what?
It can play PS1 games and below.
Below. B-E-L-O-W.
Oh, man, I was about to buy one.
Anyways, so this is literally just a clone of like Miu or Anbernic devices, which usually go for like $60-$70. This sucker was $40 for Singles Day. It's normally like $50, and it was $40. So I bought it. I got some SD cards, slapped the sucker in here, and now I have like another really cool retro device. So I'm excited to play some retro games on this. I just wanted to shout it out. The retro handheld market is crazy right now. Like at the top end, the quote unquote top end, you got the Steam Deck starting at like $400. Fantastic device, right? It'll play GameCube, Wii U games. Does it play Wii U games? Or does it play Wii games?
What, the Steam Deck?
Wii Deck games.
Yeah, you played Twilight Princess.
On Wii U?
Yeah.
Damn. So yeah, Steam Deck, $400 gets you a Steam Deck.
Switch games. Like...
Yeah, everything plays Switch games. So, and then you can go all the way down to this for $40, which basically gets you a fantastic PS1 experience and everything before that. So, if you're curious at all about retro handhelds, the R36S is the best budget device. It's great.
What about your Flip Boy?
So here's the main reason I wanted this, right? We've talked about my Retroid Pocket Flip. It's got a great screen. It feels great. It performs really well. The number one problem with it is it's a fucking Android device. And we talked about this. Because it's an Android device, it doesn't do a good job of hiding Android. So even though it has buttons on it, etc., you keep getting popped into menus or popped out to Android or getting stuck in screens where you have to touch the fucking screen and try and like drag up a menu and deal with it. I don't want to have to deal with that on a handheld device. I want to turn it on and it works. So this is running Arc OS, which is it's basically like a Linux variant. So it just boots up in like 30 seconds, and then it's got a screen, and it's just like boop boop boop. Here's all these systems. Boom, you're in it. Boom, boot the game, and then it boots RetroArch, and boom, you're playing. And then you hit start select twice, and you're back out to the main menu. Like, it's just fantastic how plug and play, pick up and play it is that Android devices, they just don't do it. So the one thing I will say, if you're looking at these devices, my recommendation, stay away from the Android devices.
Yeah,
they're great.
I was just grinning because I think you're slowly becoming me. Oh, I just buy another handheld device. Why won't I?
Know.
Yeah, pick one up. Maybe I actually might pick one of those up now.
I will say the cool thing is, so I got 15,000 games on it. Sitting on the couch the other day, and I was like, what do I got on here? And I was finding all sorts of weird little games. I found this game it was either for the SNES. I think it was for the SNES or the Genesis. And it's a flight game, but for some reason, literally 2/3 of the screen is your cockpit, and it has screens on it that actually work. So like one of your cockpit screens is your radar, the other one is like your nav map, the other one is like your missile count. So like it feels like you're sitting in the cockpit, even though it takes up like 2/3 of the screen. It's like incredible pixel art. I found some like little tiny poker game, and I sat there for like 45 minutes playing Texas Hold'em poker against 3 AI, just like slowly whittling them down. And it was fantastic. So it's like, it's just so cool having a device like this, because you can just, whenever you're like, oh, I want to play this weird game. Just the one thing I did do was it's not worth showing because this is a podcast, but I did spend like 2 days using this API tool to scrape box art and like 30-second video clips for every game on here. So for those watching, basically, as I'm scrolling through, as I go to a game, it plays a little video being like, here's what the game's like.
That's pretty cool.
And then you just go to the next one, shows the box art, and then it shows a little video. And it's like, that's amazing, because I can see exactly like what the game is. These devices they're hella cool. They're really awesome.
Just to be clear, it's called Will's Weird Games, not Ian's Weird Games. So.
Oh no, I'm taking it over. That's my New Year's resolution.
How dare you? You're wasting your 1 year wish on that.
You have to keep it alliterative, though. It has to be like Ian's Interesting Games or Ian's Intriguing Games.
Intriguing Imaginations. Imagine Machines.
I'm in charge of the name. Okay.
Okay, we'll come up with names better terrible. Than that.
All right.
Sorry. I'm not. I know I'm not formally part of the marketing department.
How well does that run PS1 games?
PS1 games run fine. It even runs PSP games. I know from looking at the forums, there's some PSP games and some PS1 games like Gran Turismo that it struggles with. The only problem I've had so far is some N64 games have like an audio glitch where the game's running fine, but the audio's like stuttering. I'm pretty sure there's just some RetroArch setting I need to flip that I haven't found yet.
Yeah.
But it basically does a really good job. It doesn't run Dreamcast games that well. That's kind of the only caveat. But literally PS1 generation and everything before that, it's doing fantastic at.
Okay. Yeah, only because I chose a PS1 game for when I go away, and I was like, oh, I'll bring the Steam Deck. But now I was
Cyber Sled?
No, it's not. It's Threads of Fate, which honestly looks like kind of like Alundra 2, so that's kind of why I picked it. And I want another one of those to play. But I was trying to think if there was another device I could bring that isn't the large Steam Deck.
I think its normal price is either $45 or $50. So it's a great device. And it got here in like 10-15 days from China. It was fantastic.
Yeah. I'll think about it. Good. I was trying to figure that out because you wrote R36S, and of course I don't cheat and look things up. But I was like, is he playing Rainbow Six Siege or like something like that? Like, oh god, Ian would never do that. Because he's not a terrible person. Jake, who is a terrible person, please tell us all about the games you have been playing, sir.
Yeah, so I haven't been playing a lot since I also had 4 days for Thanksgiving, and I played a lot of Islanders, but I'm not going to keep talking about Islanders.
Thank you.
I'm trying to go through as we're getting towards the end of the year, and I'm sure we're going to be starting to plan when our GOTY discussion is going to happen. I want trying to get through the list as it stands right now. And to that end, I played 2 games that were on the list. One was Exoprimal because it was still on Game Pass, and immediately I was off put by the fact that it wanted me to sign in with like a special Capcom ID that I didn't have, so I had to go like sign up for that and then link it to my Microsoft account, and I felt like I was applying for a job before I even got into the first menu to actually play the game. And so I played through the tutorial, and then I played through the opening mission, and it was starting to hook me, at least with its premise, if not so much with its gameplay. And then it spits me back out to a hub, and I think I read the words like survival pass, and there are like a bunch of menus from like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
I do not want to play this.
It's a good game, and I put it on the list in the time where you were, I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't even out yet. And you just needed a game to play, and I think that game, what I liked about that game, because I survived all that, is the multiplayer matches were super fun, and like the way they set them up, and how the endings of them could be PvP or PvE, and they like mixed with that, and I thought the structure of the game was really well. But I completely 100% agree with everything you went through at the beginning of the game, because it was a nightmare.
But I might return to it because it had just enough of an interesting story hook for me to want to maybe kind of dig into it a little more. I do have to wonder, the name of the corporation that builds the exosuits is Ibius. I'm like, is that a weird translation, or like was this originally planned to be in English? Because it just sounds like IBS when they say it.
Is it supposed to be Ibis?
It's no, they always say they're like Ibius because it's AIBIUS.
Is it AI bus?
I'm like, that's no, they say it. Everybody says it in like they've got like the newsreels and whatnot in the opening like 6-minute cutscene or whatever. And I'm like, that's such a terrible name for your big future sci-fi corporation. But that was Exoprimal. It will not be in my top 10. It will be very low down on my list. But then I played Shadows of Doubt, which I know y'all were both jazzed on very early in the year. And it's taken me a while to get around to it. It did not make me feel as stupid as Golden Idol did, but there were a couple of times where I was like, I feel dumb. Though I was much more easily able to follow its internal logic, and with the tools that they gave me and the means in which I was able to investigate, I was able to get to the solution to the tutorial mission
murder.
Or the tutorial murder.
How did you give us a brief? How did you get to the end, and what was your ending of the tutorial murder?
So I you find the note or whatever in your apartment that has the name of a guy. And then I looked him up in the phone book and I found his address. I go to that place. I lockpick my way in, and I find the dead body of the guy whose name was left in my apartment. And still figuring it out. I spent enough time in that apartment that somebody did eventually show up, and I had to escape out through the vents. And then I accidentally stumbled into like somebody else's apartment, and they were like, "Ah, what are you doing?" And then go back into the vents and crawl my way down. While I was in this guy's apartment, though, the dead guy's apartment, I looked up, the previously contacted numbers in his phone, and I called the most recent one, and somebody picked up, and I was like, "Hey, who is this?" And they gave me their name. and then looked in that address, go to that address, and find out that guy, there were 2 people living in that apartment. The guy who picked up the phone was not the murderer. He was the one I initially thought was the murderer, and so I filled out the slip the first time, and they were like,
"Oh, you fucked up,
wrong." And then I was like, "Oh, well, then it must just be the other guy." Terrible police officer.
I wish it
I'm
worked
like,
like
wait.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry, I don't mean to slam on you, but
Yeah.
I don't think you solved the case. And what I mean by that was there was a dead guy. You looked at who he last talked to, and you just assumed that one of those 2 people was the murderer because he last talked to them.
No, then I broke into these 2 people were asleep, and so they went to sleep, and so I broke into their apartment, and I found their info and their fingerprints and a gun. And I had studied the bullet wound on the dead body, and it was like, oh, it's a small caliber weapon. And so the pistol that I found was a small caliber pistol, and it had the fingerprints. It had fingerprints from one of the 2 people who lived there. And so it was just deductive. But no, I got the splash across the screen that said, I know you saw it. Vanquish.
It's just the first way you described it was you left out the actual evidence.
The solution to it. Yeah, the evidence. No, I was like, this guy did it, I'm sure. Yeah. Because his name was in the phone.
He's just sitting there submitting the next person.
But no, yes, I was a very bad police officer being like, this guy did it. And they were like, I don't think so. And I'm like, this guy did it.
Oh, sorry. Let me. I smudged it. Let me.
Sorry, it's the other one.
I just want to say it's interesting because I almost feel like I have the opposite of you with Shadows of Doubt and Case of the Golden Idol, where Shadows of the Doubt made me feel dumb. Like the tutorial case, I got the tutorial case, and then I started doing some cases, and I pretty quickly hit some murder cases in particular where I was just like, I don't fucking know. Like, I've investigated like 20 people. I've got a giant board of string and clues, and it's all well organized, and I have zero idea who actually did it. And like, I don't know if you guys have this, but there's always like part of you where you watch like Columbo or CSI or Law and Order, and you're just like, yeah, I see how they did that. Maybe I could be a detective. And Shadows of Doubt is like the most like definitive book slam I've ever experienced, where it's just like, here, it's a video game that's kind of like being a detective, and it turns out I'm a bad fucking detective,
I can't do this.
Yeah, whereas Case of the Golden Idol, I was like, okay, I'm getting this, I'm getting what it's putting down, I'm feeling it. Or in Shadows of Doubt, I was like, I'm too dumb for this, I can't handle it. The game's great, but I'm struggling to solve cases here.
Yeah. So I'm maybe gonna withhold my final verdict until, like you said, I go do like a real case.
Yeah, I would just start a campaign save. Yeah, and just let it roll.
But right now, it took me a little bit to ease into it. It took me like an hour and a half to do the tutorial one. But a lot of that was learning the systems, and it took me a while to get out of that first building, because I wasn't 100% sure what the consequences of if you get caught trespassing, or like what exactly the stakes are.
Yeah.
I did get beat up by very, very early. I had the address of what I assumed was one of the killers, and I broke into their mailbox while someone was looking, and I got beat up.
Yeah, you deserved it.
But
I would have beaten you up.
Beyond that, then that made me a little bit more careful, maybe. But
it's also
Shadows of Doubt.
I just want to say real quick, I just remembered. Shadows of Doubt has one of the most I think one of the most surprising things about Shadows of Doubt is their combat system is actually kind of good. And the reason why I say that is, remember, Will, when people started chasing us and I just started picking up chairs and throwing them at people, and they would, and we thought they like fell down the stairs, and we thought they were dead, but no, it just knocked them unconscious. So like 60 seconds later, they get back up again, and I got scared and I had to throw another chair at them. Like, it's actually pretty good at like representing like the chaos of like, oh shit, I'm caught. Oh god, they're chasing me. Oh god, in the vents. Yeah, that game's great.
Yeah.
And then I played Lethal Company with Will and several other people.
It's true.
Wow. The viral game of the internet right now. Yeah, I don't know. I looked up the developer before we hopped on stream, and are they like a Roblox modder? Is this a Roblox mod that got turned into a full game?
I have no idea. I
Maybe.
just know I think it's a
Oh.
one-person game.
Okay.
Well, it is an SCP game though, so
Okay.
it's not a completely brand new concept, etc.
The username is exactly the same as a popular Roblox modder. So I was wondering if it was the same
Probably
person,
is.
but maybe
Yeah.
not. But yeah, it's a what would you even call it? It's not like it's like a resource gathering survival sim,
Yeah, rogue-like, because,
roguelike.
yeah.
No, I mean
Well,
it's just like a round-based horror survival, right?
It's not
Yeah.
round-based or survival.
It kind of
round-based
is.
as in
It's got
like
the days
as in like
and the
you
counting
spawn
down.
in, everybody's alive, try and survive. People are gonna die.
And you have to do a
round.
certain.
Yeah,
you
but
have
it's
to
not-
reach a certain threshold before the end of your.
Yeah, and
work
then
week.
it's SCP / Phasmophobia, where you have an assortment of randomized weirdo enemies, and you have tools that you need to do to accomplish some sort of objective, and then it's co-op. It leans heavy into voice
It's a
chat,
puzzle
etc.
game.
Fuck you.
It is super fun. It is, as someone who's terrified of games like Phasmophobia, this game is not scary, which is nice.
No.
That's good.
It is. I mean, there are scary moments, like something scary. You could feel scary, but since you're all allowed to be together, everyone's on voice chat. There's just like panic moments, and stuff like that, where maybe there's spring monsters around you and you can't get out, and one of your friends commits suicide. But outside of that, it's just kind of fun to hang out, and you all have a little mission to do, and you're exploring together, and then people's voices trail off, and you're just like, where did they go? Are they dead, or are they just far away from me?
Well, I think my favorite was when you had jumped across that gap, and then you tried to jump back, and you just fell in, and you were like halfway through saying something, and then your voice just cut out. Like, oh,
That's great.
Will died,
The
and
best-
Karen showed up, and I was like, Karen, we
Yeah.
can't wait for Will. He's dead.
We've
best
talked about
is-
this before, but like the number one game technology that every fucking multiplayer game without fail needs to have immediately is proximity voice chat.
It's so
if they're
fun.
far, they're far. If they're near. It's distance, it's directional, and sometimes you can't hear them. It's fantastic.
Well, at one point I went back to the ship to charge the batteries, and I like finished charging them, and I look outside, and Chris is coming back. They're like, oh, we came back, some stuff happened. I go, okay. He goes, oh yeah, your wife died. And I go, what? I was like, Karen's dead?
God.
Yeah, they were just like, or I made it to the entrance first, was waiting for like 5 minutes for everyone, go back to the ship, everyone's dead because these electric bees were there and murdered everyone. Then I
God.
get murdered by them to only realize Kyle's still in the ship, and then Karen and Jake are somewhere else, and they don't know each other are still alive. So Karen and Jake, Kyle's like, should I take off? And Karen and Jake are like, we should get back to the ship. It's just,
Oh no,
it's
you
wonky.
all, the dead people are able to vote for the ship to like autopilot take off, and the people who are still alive get a prompt that's like, hey, the ship's taking off in X amount of minutes. And yeah, Karen and I were both like, oh, we gotta go, and we got there with seconds to spare.
It was
Very
we
good.
eventually
Jeez.
bought a horn on the
Emergent
ship that you can just
gameplay.
pull the horn to let everyone know you're at the ship. And we got a boom box. It's really fun. I highly recommend it for anyone to play. It's only $10. $10 there on the Steam
And we
store.
modded it so we can play with more than 4 people at a time.
I think we can play up to 32 people.
that would be
which
outrageous.
would be a nightmare.
I'm trying to imagine 32 of the character models inside that ship.
And everyone talking at the
Pandemonium.
same time.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think Tuesday we're gonna try to play it again. So feel free to come by and play. It'll be fun. That is what?
He said,
I
"Cool."
was just gonna say cool. Can I say that?
Yeah, you want to say cool? Are you gonna come play on Tuesday, Ian? We could use the number 7.
No. Isn't this game cost $10?
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
wrong
we
with
just
$10?
said that.
Look, I'm going to be playing SteamWorld Build.
Game of the year.
Also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th is Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, which I think I'm going to buy it and play it.
The worst game ever. You're going to play again?
Well, the problem is apparently Phantom Liberty is fantastic, but in order for you to play that right now, you have to buy Cyberpunk and the expansion.
Yeah, we went over that.
And it's a lot, but this is a little bit cheaper, and I have Steam funds, so I think I'm gonna buy it.
Steam.
Was it not on sale during the? I guess it wouldn't have been.
I think it was on sale briefly when it first came out, but I didn't feel like buying it then.
Wow. Well, that sucks. Okay. News time. We ready to talk about the news?
Yeah. Let me just ask you a question. I know I'm usually the person who puts the news on here. Do you guys want a happy story, a sad story, or an interesting story?
Go with interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Let's talk about. There is a Rockstar North dev who worked for the company in the early 2000s who decided they're just going to start a blog where they talk about some of the details of the projects they worked on. So some of the things he previously talked about was how, sorry, I'm skimming through here because the blog has since gone down. Worked at this studio from 95 to 2009, which is basically creation of Grand Theft Auto all the way through GTA 4 and its DLC. He talked about how they were going to try and put multiplayer into GTA 3, which if you think about it, if GTA 3 had multiplayer, that would have made that the greatest game of all time, right? Like it's already amazing, and then you add multiplayer on top. That would have been crazy. He talks about how Agent, the spy game, just kind of fizzled. Also, there was a zombie game they were working on for a little bit. Do you guys read any of these details? Any of these details kind of exciting to you as possible things that Rockstar could have done?
I have not read it.
I just thought it was kind of wild how far along they were in Agent before they recalled everyone to work on GTA 4 instead. It sounded like it was really cool, and they had like a big shootout with lasers in space, a French Mediterranean city, a Swiss ski resort, Cairo. I just feel like that would have been a really cool game from Rockstar.
Yeah.
Are we presuming?
Sorry, I was going to say I'm kind of on the other foot where I don't think Agent would have been good because we've talked about this with Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar does an incredible job at open world. They don't do a good job at story missions. Like that's where the game kind of becomes like a 7 out of 10 in a way, is every time you hop into like a story mission, a linear type thing. And the way he describes it, it sounds like Agent would have been very linear. So I don't know. That's not their strong suit. So I mean, maybe they made the right decision. Who knows?
I think they do great missions, so you're entitled to your own opinion, sir.
Anyways, I'm excited for GTA 6. Apparently, there's a rumor out today that trailer will either come out today or within the next 5 days. The GTA 6
holding it for the Game Awards.
Yeah, absolutely not.
On Pearl Harbor Day.
Did we talk about this in local chat or in the Discord? I think we said that they probably held it for the Game Awards time frame, but
they'll just at the Game Awards.
No, they'll just release it on their own because that's what they did with Red Dead Redemption 2. They don't need fucking shows anymore. They just announce it. They did it with GTA 5 as well. They just released it out there. They didn't go to any show or anything.
So yeah, theoretically it could be out tomorrow. Tomorrow is early December. As evidence of all of the videos I have prepped for tomorrow, possibly. In case the trailer does. No, I have no knowledge of the trailer. No.
So you've seen the trailer. What is the trailer?
I know nothing about the trailer. It is mostly, hey, let's prep all of these videos that we can insert a trailer into in case it comes out tomorrow.
Can I tell you what I'm not ready for?
What?
So if you remember, this game leaked pretty extensively, and unless
was that this year or last year?
Last year.
It was last year. Unless
it
changed drastically. No, it's not too woke. I'm worried that everybody's going to be super horny over the female protagonist because they were already horny over how thick she was in the leaks. So y'all be prepared for a horny game Twitter. It's going to happen.
Do you think they made her thicker?
More woke?
Jiggle physics. Woke. Was it Dead or Alive that had jiggle physics? Do you remember that?
God, I love Dead or Alive. That demo I played a lot. A lot. I will say for GTA 6, I'm excited about it too. You know, I put together a video today that was, I did like an evolution of all of the reveal trailers for GTA games. And I was like, man, what if I played GTA 4 again? What if I got that going?
I've been thinking about that.
And I did a little bit because it worked on the Steam Deck. And then I was like, do I want to play on the Steam Deck or do I want to play on the Xbox? Or do I want to play on PC and get mods? And
PC mods, yeah.
It's like, I wonder if there's a co-op mod. No, but PC mods, I think. But now I'm like, I'll just wait for GTA 6. But GTA 4 had the best driving physics. It was
it was controversial, and I didn't love them at the time. But looking back, they were good.
They're so good, so good.
Yeah,
the boats.
All right. Yeah. Next news story. Do you want a sad news story? Do you want a weird news story, or do you want a happy news story?
I want to talk about the weird news story. If I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, Jake, take it away. Tell me about what the fuck Bethesda is doing.
Yeah, okay. So I guess recently on Steam, Bethesda has been replying to negative reviews of the game with like their internal explanations of why the game is that way.
Yes.
And
should I read one? Or do you want to read it?
Sure. Well, I was going to say a couple indie devs that I follow were tentatively coming to Bethesda's defense, saying that in instances, sometimes you can flip a negative review if you just talk through with someone. But I think that's probably far likelier the case with indie games, where you can be like, oh, well, here's why I did it. Not a huge AAA title like Starfield. But yeah, let's read one and then we can talk through it.
Maybe I'll shoot you the link if you want to read the response, or unless you want me to.
I just read one of these.
Either or.
You know what? Let me do it if you don't mind. So this is a Steam review. I'll go through it real quick. This is somebody who said, negative, not recommend. A game about space in which your ship is nothing more than set dressing. A game about exploration that delivers the thrill of opening your menu, selecting the fast travel option, clicking to fast travel to a star system, etc. They had all sorts of complaints, like we've said before. And this is from Bethesda_Falco Yamaoka. And they have the developer tag, and it says developer response. This is a response to a Steam review. And it says, hi there. Thank you for taking the time to provide your review, and we are sorry to hear that you were disappointed with encountering many loading screens while playing. While there may be loading screens in between fast traveling, just consider the amount of data for the expansive gameplay that is procedurally generated to load flawlessly in under 3 seconds. We believe that shortcoming will not hinder our players from getting lost in the world we created. Starfield is an RPG with hundreds of hours of quests to complete and characters to meet. Most quests will also vary on your character skills and decisions, massively changing the outcome of your playthrough. Try creating different characters with backgrounds and characteristics that clash or are opposite of your previous character. That clash or are oppositive of your previous character. You will feel like you are playing a totally different game. Put points and different skills from a character you've previously created, and you are now faced with completely different decisions to make and difficulties to encounter. There are so many layers to Starfield that you will find things that you never knew were even possible after playing for hundreds of hours. Even after completing the main story, your adventure doesn't end. You can continue into New Game Plus to keep exploring Starfield and all that is out there! ! You can send further feedback to development here, beth.games.com, whatever. Never stop exploring.
Pretend your character doesn't have legs.
This is some fucking Amazon reply. This is
yeah, it feels far less like it doesn't feel like a programmer didn't write that. It feels like a PR, like
it's customer support. Yeah.
Yeah, and just an odd. I mean, it's interesting because like I saw the ones that were like, oh yeah, sure, some of the planets are big empty, but when Neil Armstrong went to the moon and Buzz Aldrin went to the moon was empty, and they didn't say it was boring. Yeah. And that one specifically, I think the part of in an earlier draft of the Starfield video that I wrote, I talked about indie game from 2013, 2014 called Mirror Moon, which has you going to like a bunch of really small planets and solving little puzzles to try to get to like an anomaly at the center of the galaxy. And some of the planets do have literally nothing on them. It doesn't even have anything to solve the puzzle. You can just walk around and blip back to orbit. And they had that in a GDC postmortem about it. They talked about that very same thing where they're like, in the real universe, sometimes there's not gonna be anything. You land on a moon, there's nothing there. You land on a planet, it's dusty nothing. And I was like, okay, sure, that works, because in Mirror Moon, it takes you like 30 seconds to traverse a planet. They're so small that you can just walk around them and walk around them. And so it doesn't feel it feels like a deliberate artistic decision rather than like the limitations of the game. But just a very, very weird move. Like I can't imagine.
It's desperation. It's desperation. I mean, the Steam reviews, the overall Steam review for this game is at mixed right now, and there were some news stories just talking about how it's at mixed. They got spurned for, I think, everything except for RPG, best RPG at the Game Awards, which it doesn't deserve, and just kind of across the board a flop. And this just reeks of desperation. This reeks of them wanting to fight for the game and not understanding what space they can do that. And so they've decided to do it in comments to individual Steam reviewers. And
so weird.
That's wild. Maybe you should put that energy into either making this game better or working on your next fucking game and making it better.
Because
they're in a bad spot.
Story DLC on the way.
Hell,
I don't know if a date has been announced, but I know that at least one story expansion.
And on New Game Plus 60, you can play the DLC.
I can't.
God.
Yeah, this is wild. I just read one here about someone being like complaining about it's only fast travel, and they were like, you can fly to other systems if you want to.
No, I don't think you can't fly to other systems. No. You can fly to other planets in the same system, but it takes forever and it's very boring. Yeah.
God damn it.
This is so dumb.
If we want to move on, Jake, do you want to talk about the breaking news that you posted in the Discord?
Oh, Halo Season 2 is coming to Paramount Plus in February.
Yeah, this was surprising to me because I didn't even realize they'd shot it yet, especially with all the strikes going on.
It's been out since 2004. It's great. Halo 2.
They must have. Well, let me confirm that maybe I'm not like. I want to make sure that a trade has reported on it.
No, I saw this as well a couple hours ago because it was reported right after they released Season 1 on YouTube. Yeah, I know you guys aren't excited. Honest, but let me ask you this.
No, I'm going to watch it.
You're going to watch it? I'll watch it.
I have to watch it, except I'll skip the episode that doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the season. I did with Season 1.
Crazy.
What was in that episode that you skipped?
The guy,
it was when the girl goes to the desert and meets with the shaman. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad app.
See? I skipped it.
Genuinely, I'm excited. There was enough there for me to be like, cool, it's Halo. It's bad. It's bad, but in an interesting way. So I'll watch it.
I need them. If they're not on the Halo ring within the first 2 episodes, I'm really gonna be.
How did Season 1 end again? It
ends with Chief and the girl who was captured by the Covenant.
No, Cortana takes over Chief.
Cortana took over Chief, but there's like a dreams of like a vision sequence where their minds meet on the Halo ring.
Come on. Look, I'm just gonna say it.
What are you saying? Come on for?
This may be bad, but there's an argument to be made for weird, entertaining bad versus I would watch this a dozen times rather than any of the new Marvel movies because those are just bland schlock.
It's interesting to watch. It's fascinating.
Exactly.
Unpacking the creative decisions that they made and just following this weird story that they've set up. So yeah, I'll definitely watch Season 2. But I'm not optimistic that it will right the ship.
I think the best thing Halo Season 1 did is remind everyone that the guy who played Dave in 2001: A Space Odyssey is still alive and still a good actor.
He was also a voice actor in Starfield.
Okay, so it has since flipped because
some of the combat scenes were good. That combat scene in episode 1 was pretty good. It's not bad for live action Halo combat. It scratches the itch.
No, and I don't think any of us thought that in our review.
Yeah. So that's there's positives to this. It's just barely worth watching, is what I would say.
They're gonna put that. That's the testimonial they're putting on the Blu-ray. ...
worth watching.
It's a pixel.
Or just ... worth watching.
Ian Gibson, subpixel.com.
Okay, folks, do you want the sad news or do you want the happy news?
Happy news.
Happy news, folks. They're making a new Tribes game. Have you guys played any of the Tribes game? Are you guys familiar with the Tribes games?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Tribes games. They were big in the late 90s, early 2000s. They're a first-person shooter. They're mostly online. The big mode they do is capture the flag. Tribes Ascend was a big game that came out in, I think, 2011, 2012. That was free to play and a lot of fun. That's how I got into the series. Let me pitch you. Let me long elevator ride pitch you. Let me stuck on the elevator pitch
45
you
seconds.
the Tribes games. Okay. It's a first-person shooter. It's capture the flag, but you can ski. Here's the thing about skiing. Skiing means
seconds.
when you hold down the space bar and you go down a slope, you gain speed. And then if you let off that and go up the next hill, you will maintain enough of that speed to rocket you off the hill. So literally the big thing about this game is all about skiing and maintaining your momentum. So you end up flying across the map at like 300 kilometers per hour. And some of the cool ways you gain speed is if you turn around real quick and like throw a grenade behind you and it explodes, you'll take some damage, but the explosion will give you speed, or you shoot behind you and that will give you speed. And so it's all about capture the flag. And you have like these two, usually like big forts at either end of the map. The map's huge. There's a bunch of like hills and stuff. And on top of each fort is usually a flag, right? So usually what happens is if you're any good, you're fucking rocketing around this map, right? Like you can walk around at normal speed if you want to, but if you're skiing, you're building up crazy momentum and all of a sudden you're fucking flying around the map at like 300 kilometers per hour, shooting people out of the air, shooting grenades at the ground to hit them. And then all of a sudden you're going like you're fucking like 300 kilometers per hour, boom, right past taking the flag. And then you come back around. It's so fucking fast. And let me tell you one more thing this game does incredibly well. They have a voice chat shortcut system. Have you guys heard about this? You guys heard about Shazbot? Or you heard about what they do in these games?
Isn't that an Austin Powers thing?
No. So basically, I literally have it memorized, VGS. So the way it works is if you need to do a call out to your team. So for example, if I need to say, hey, I see somebody coming to the flag, like I see an enemy flying towards the flag, we need to defend our flag. I hit V and it pops up this little menu of like 10 options, like 10 categories. Then I hit D for the defend option, and then I hit F for flag. So if I hit VDF quickly, my character says over voice chat to the rest of the team, it says defend the flag, and that's like a quick way to be like VDF, like VAF is like attack their flag, VGS is like Shazbot, which is like a curse. So you can like, it's super easy to work with your team in this game because basically you use those voice shortcuts in place of actually having a mic and having to interact with your team to quickly give call outs like defend the flag, I'm going right, there's somebody coming, help me out over here. And this is like a fucking incredible and very unique multiplayer game, and I'm so excited they're bringing it back. We have to play it because I think you guys would actually like love the skiing element. It's got this rhythm, this flow to it, and it feels so good when you're doing it right. It's incredible.
Wow. I will play that. It does sound like fun. The innovative thing with the VDF sounds like when everyone played Apex for the first time and they were like, oh, pinging's a good idea.
Yeah.
We should have that in everything.
Yeah. I'm genuinely surprised more games haven't done it because it's so simple, and because it's basically it's basically like two menus and then the third menu down is what you say.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's just two menus. It's V to pop the menu, and then there's like 10 letters for the category, and then 10 letters for the option inside each category. So you just literally VDF, VAF, VGS. I still remember them to this day, 10 years later.
Games have like emotes and wheels and stuff, but they're never that quick.
They're never that quick.
But I guess most of that's controller. But yeah, I still like the sound of that. And
it was just to say, it was very smart how they did it. Like, I know for certain it's VDF because it's V for voice chat, D for defend, and F for flag. So they made it super easy to remember it as well. It was great.
That's awesome. Ian, you might know this one. Jake might not. Did you know that Motley Crue made a Tribes theme song for Tribes 2?
Actually, I think I do.
I think I did know that, but I would not have been able to tell you anything about it.
I mean, we can take a quick listen to it if you'd like to hear it. It is very, very eloquent. I have a hard time actually remembering the lyrics, so let's go through this.
Yeah, it's just Tribes is great, man.
Are we gonna get copyright struck?
You can hear it, right?
Over it. Yeah. Oh yeah, love it.
I can barely hear it.
Tribes. This is good. This is incredible. This is so good. I love it.
Okay, but what is the best Motley Crue song? There is one right answer.
It's one of those bands where
because
I probably know their songs. I can't name their songs. That's the
Kickstart
problem.
My Heart.
I don't know if that is.
I don't know.
It owns. Look it up.
Anyways, Tribes. I that was all the way from a Giant Bomb episode where I think Gerstmann played it for everyone. Yeah. It's just the word Tribes over and over again.
Sorry, I probably should give the actual bit news here, which is that there was some footage that leaked from a closed playtest of the new game called Tribes 3 Rivals. It's being made by Prophecy Games, which is an offshoot of Hi-Rez, which was the studio that made Tribes Ascend. So there's a playtest going around. People are playing it. They say so far it looks pretty good, but we don't really have more information than that. But I am super excited about this.
Did Hi-Rez also make Turok, or am I thinking of something else?
They may have made one of the later games. I don't think they made the original.
Low Rock.
Low Rock. No, it's Low Res. Low Res made Turok.
Are we hitting these last two stories, or should we skip to
I don't care.
Wishlist?
No. One's depressing and the other one is not worth it.
This week's Wishlist Spotlight, I am incredibly excited to tell you about this week. It is called Legendary Pilots. It looks awesome. It is a pixel low-res flight sim that also focuses on being a pilot. You have to... I saw someone on Twitter describe this as like most people who are sad about the newer Microsoft flight simulators being perfect flight systems, but you don't get to manage your crew or be a pilot or advance your career and stuff like that. And that is exactly what you do in Legendary Pilots. It looks absolutely gobsmackingly gorgeous in a cool retro way. The insides of the cockpits look really good as well.
It looks chunky.
I will read here about the game. Legendary Pilots is an indie flight simulator that doesn't pretend to be the most realistic flying game ever, but rather it is fun, stylized game centered on the pilot's career. Retro gaming vibes, progress pilot's career, several flyable turboprops, immersive fictional world, simple navigation systems, radio compass, manageable crew, economy system, AI, air traffic, and competitive air company rankings. I just thought it looked like fun in all the... I feel like we kind of specialize in fun, weird games around games we like VTOL VR, stuff like that. And I
Ian
think
was
Legendary Pilots. Ian, actually, we should have chit-chatted about that. Ian taught me how to start up a plane in VTOL VR, and I think I could do it by myself. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, we got to play more VTOL VR. We played two-person for the first time. It's something we've been talking about doing for like I want to say at least 2 years, because we started talking about it when I still lived in Maryland. So we're going to play a lot more of it. It's fun. That game's great. That game is very, very good. It's awesome.
It's great. So yeah, sorry, let me finish this out for Jake. Legendary Pilots on Steam, go give them a wish list. We recommend it. Enjoy the game. Folks, are you boys ready to get out of here? I want to get out of here.
Yeah. I gotta read.
Yeah, I gotta go stuff a squirrel. Let me hit that button. Folks, thank you so much for watching this week. My name's Will. Joining me this week was Jake and Ian. You can find all of our content at subpixelfilms.com. That'll bring you to our link tree. That'll bring you to all sorts of different things, like our YouTube channel or our Twitch or our Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Hunt270. You can find Jake on Twitter at _Jake Terrio. You can find Ian on Twitter at Think Gibson. I always forget if the underscore is for you or Kyle, and I don't know why. I know it's for you. It's at Kyle the Beard for Kyle. Go see him. Sibylla, thanks for popping into the chat. I have your book. I need to start reading it. I'm excited for it. It looks really good. We will be back this weekend with Psychonauts with David, probably on Sunday. I'm not sure. I got to confirm with him. And then we're going to be playing through Psychonauts. I'm very excited for that. And then Lethal Company next week. We'll see you then. Bye.
Oh.